Apps can do a lot of cool things. You could order dinner, gamble on your favorite team, and track your health. You could even get a mortgage. One click and you can be approved. I'm not sure by who or what country they're in. You deserve more from the mortgage industry. At AnyMac Home Mortgage, we believe in the need for live human interaction during a very complex process. The kind of service and guidance which an app simply can't provide. Our customers are more than credit scores and income documents. They're individuals and families who live in and strengthen our communities. Their story is our story, and that story begins in a home. Chris Sawyer is an expert on providing superior customer service and in meeting the mortgage needs of current and future home buyers. With over 18 years of experience in the industry, Chris is able to help customers migrate through the home buying and home financing process by using his wealth of knowledge as a well-qualified mortgage professional. And best of all, Chris is located in Cromwell, Connecticut, where he has helped hundreds of clients in Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island make their dreams of home ownership a reality. Visit chrissawyer.any-mac.com. Email him at csawyer@any-mac.com or give him a call, 860-878-8730.
Chris Sawyer, NMLS number 39345, corporate NMLS number 338923, AnyMac Home Mortgage, an equal housing lender, American Neighborhood Mortgage Acceptance Company, LLC, DBA AnyMac Home Mortgage, LoFi Direct, Connecticut First Mortgage Correspondent, License Lender, Broker Number ML 338923, Massachusetts Mortgage Lender and Mortgage Broker License Number MC 338923, Rhode Island License Lender, License Number 201128110L. Call for additional details.
Welcome to Sports Talk with R&J. I am Steve RIsser, along here with Justin D'Onofrio. And another frustrating loss for the Yankees last night. You had the big matchup, the two top teams in the American League. Now they're not because the Orioles are in first place after them winning last night and the Yankees losing. But we had the two top teams in the American League last night. It was a game where it started off great. You know, you had Soto and Judge, started the game with two home runs. This is going to be a great start. But then Keel struggled, didn't make it past the fourth inning. And then the Yankees just so frustrating, 1 for 16. 1 for 16 with runners in scoring position. So, and then it got to the 12th inning, and then it pretty much, they had Ramirez a single, and then Fry's a 3-run double. It all falls apart. The Yankees lose. They're now a game and a half behind the Guardians for the best record in the American League, and they're a game and a half behind the Orioles for the best record in the AL East. Justin, your thoughts on last night?
Yeah, very frustrating yet again. The same old story. It's been the same old story with the team for the last handful of years. The running scoring position, they were 0 for 11 going into that 12th inning, I believe, last night, and then just 10th or 11th inning, and didn't get a good start from Heel. Now he's got the back tighten, as they're saying, and you blew through your whole bullpen last night, and now you need Nestor, who, looked great in his last start, but that was against the White Sox. You're going to need another, 7 innings out of him tonight. Because that bullpen right now is going to need some rest. But, just frustrating. Again, Jose Dorino starts 3 of the last 4 games behind the plate. And, I know because of the lefties. But Wells comes in,
gets a big hit.
That, the big hit against the lefties.
Big hit, which very easily could, if they don't send Grisham there, very eeasily the Yankees could have won because of that hit.
Well, yeah, they could have. And now I'm glad you mentioned that. So I saw an overhead cam of that. Luis Rojas originally told Grisham to hold up. So Grisham started to pull up rounding third, and then Rojas told him to go. So he already started slowing down. So that's why. So if Rojas sent him initially, he probably would save, but he slowed up because Rojas told him to stop and then go. Yep. So that I think so. I got to put some blame there on Rojas. But yeah, Wells is going to play tomorrow because it's cold behind the plate. Cole's probably want Torino. So, the lineup's frustrating. This was supposed to be the time where you're supposed to beat up on these teams and get a couple games ahead of the Orioles. You lost the series to the Tigers. You got embarrassed 1 game to the White Sox. This seems so frustrating. I said last week, I know things are so wide open. No team's going to win 100 games, but it's just the same old story the last 5-6 years. And they just try out the same, the same things. They don't change anything up. It's tiresome.
And you bring up the Austin Wells thing, and that just makes no sense why a guy you would hit 4th in your lineup between Judge and Stanton, and then you don't play him for Jose Trevino, who I'm sorry is a below average player right now. Why would you have an up and coming young catcher in Austin Wells? Now he's not a great player, I'll admit that, and I don't think he should have been hitting 4th. But boom with the stupid. I don't know, and everyone does it in baseball, the stupid righty lefty thing. But yeah, you're not going to play that guy, you were hitting fourth for a below average catcher. Austin Wells should be if you're going to hit him fourth, then he should be the everyday catcher.
Yeah, he should. But they like Torino's framing. They like that, even though all of like Wells's like expected batting average, like all of like the expected numbers against lefties are above average. And I think his on base is pretty good too against lefties. I think it's like 340. So like I don't know. How is he supposed to get better against lefties if you don't play him against the lefties? So yeah, it's frustrating. Again, it's like there's no urgency ever. It's like you got to win some of these games. Like it's so wide open. Like
last night's a game you got to win. Last night's a game you got to win. You're at home. You had two chances in the 10th and the 11th inning to win the game. 1 for 16 with runners in scoring position. Bullpen did a great job after Hill went out of the game. You got to win that game. You got these and I know it's I know it's not the playoffs. I know it's still the regular season, but this is a game this is a loss that Yankee fans are going to start to wonder. This is a game the Yankees have lost many times in the postseason, the last 6-7 years. And this isn't 2017 anymore. A loss like this Yankee fans start to get very cynical about what's going to happen in a couple of months.
Yeah. Because again, we know the story that's going to happen. They'll beat the AF Central team, whoever they play. And then, let's be honest, the Astros are going to the World Series again. Like it's gonna
we'll see. They're red hot. They're red hot right now. They're red hot right now. Yeah, the Sox finally beat them last night, but they're red hot right now.
Yeah, they are. And Houston's getting Verlander back today, so that's gonna help out their rotation. So it's been the same story. It's going to be the same story. I know it's so wide open this year, and anybody can win it. All of these teams are bunched up. Like you may not get a team that's going to have 95 wins, maybe. Like it might come down to that, but it's just frustrating. It's the same old story with Boone, and it's just again, like I know we'll get to Holmes, but even the O's took Kimbrel out of the closer spot, and he doesn't have 10 blown saves, but it's just the same old thing. And they, again, we've said it many times as as long as 40,000 people at that ballpark every night, what drastic changes are they going to make?
I know.
99.5 wins, get to the playoffs, they'll be fine.
I know. But I think they have to at least. I think they got to get to the ALCS. If they get to at least Game 5, say they're playing Baltimore, it's in the division. It's at least Game 5 for Aaron Boone to stay. I mean, I would have fired him 3 years ago, but if he's going to stay, they can't get like beaten 3 games in the division series or losing the first round. Then he's got to go. But the reason the Yankees lost last night's game was because they could not hit with runners in scoring position. And the big thing is Jazz Chisholm elevated this lineup when he got traded. Then since he's gotten hurt, the Yankees have only scored, 5 runs. He got hurt last Monday. And last week, the Yankees have only scored more than 5 runs in a game once. And that was the Wednesday game against the White Sox. I mean, the thing is how important is the big question is how important is Jazz Chisholm to this lineup? And he is important. He is important because Stanton's been struggling without him. Torres has been struggling. Verdugo's been struggling without him. But it seems like when he's in the lineup, this team really starts to hit. But when he's not, it feels like a 2-man lineup with Judge and Soto.
Yeah, he's an important piece because he's a lefty that can that again, like he gets steal bases and he puts pressure on pitching staffs. And Volpe's the only other guy in this lineup, but Volpe doesn't get on base consistently enough. I know he stole third last night when he got on, but like he's not on. His on base is too low for him. His on base got to be higher to steal more bases because they're just again, it's not an athletic team. And then now you have look, DJ's been awesome the last couple years. You
terrible.
Can't keep trying him out there every day.
Terrible right now. He's got to go. He's got to go. He's got to get.
He's got to bite the bullet. Yeah,
he's got to get DFA'd. I'm sorry, he's got to get DFA'd. This isn't 2020 anymore. He's got to go.
Yeah, they gotta bite the bullet on that. And it stinks. And I didn't think he was gonna fall off a cliff as much as he did, but it has, and it's over. And like there's no reason why right now like Oswaldo Cabrera or Carrazza should be probably getting those at bats right now. But yeah, Chaz is important because he does a lot of really good things well in the base pass. He's a lefty and hitting right in the middle of that order that's got some pop. So yeah, he's been a huge loss. And yeah, you mentioned it the one night that they last Wednesday against the White Sox, and they went off and put up 10 runs. But yeah, other than that, the line has been putrid pretty much.
It's just very, very feast or famine. It's up and down. When Chisholm's line good, but since he's been gone, yeah, it struggled, especially in that Tigers series. No run. I know Skubal pitched. I'll give him the game on Sunday only scoring 2 runs. That wasn't on the lineup. That was on who. But
Saturday
shut out on Saturday. It makes. I mean, come on, who were they facing on Saturday? Was that good for the Tigers? So yeah, the lineup is definitely different without Jazz Chisholm. That's been pretty obvious. Another issue too for the Yankees before we get to, I think the biggest issue is who is that number 2 behind Garrett Cole. Garrett Cole pitched really, really well on Friday night. Pitched really well against the Tigers on Friday. But the thing is, who's that number 2? Is it Rondon? He was pitching well, but he didn't pitch that well on Saturday. We saw that, Luis Hill pitched really well at the beginning of the season. We saw that he's not that guy. Stroman I know he pitched well on Sunday night, but he's been up and down in the second half of the year. And Cortez has had a down year. So do you trust the number 2 behind Garrett Cole? And I'm going to say no.
No, I don't either. They had to go Jack Flaherty. They had to go land that guy.
Biggest mistake by Cashman, Jack Flaherty and Tanner Scott. Not getting one of those 2 guys.
Yeah, absolutely. It has been because they need the help in the bullpen and they need a starter because I know Stroman said Sunday after he started I think it was Boone. They fixed some mechanical stuff with his release point, I believe it was. So maybe Stroman's figured some things out and maybe he could be trusted, but he's a guy that doesn't usually make 30 starts a year. He hasn't been on the IL yet. So, will he get to any of these limits? So, I don't really trust anybody because, Rodon had pitched better. He was not great on Saturday. Cortez, he has not been great all year either. So, it's tough. He's a guy that you hope, but, is he somebody I think in the postseason that probably is going to maybe be more of a reliever, close out games when they need somebody they might have to use him in that role. So I don't trust anybody. And Catcher made a big mistake. The medical staff said that they did not, they did not like the medicals on Flaherty, but it's a 2-month rental.
A 2-month rental in a year where you traded Michael King and Johnny Brito away for Juan Soto. So you traded away starting pitching for Juan Soto. So you got to go with the 2-month rental because the reason you got getting Soto signaled that you are going for it. So it was very disappointing they didn't get Jack Flaherty.
Yeah, absolutely. They're supposed to be all in this year. They're supposed to go all in for with Juan Soto, and this is the year they're trying to win it. And this is a year where nobody in Major League Baseball wants to, kind of take it. Like Milwaukee's, got one. Nobody thought Milwaukee would win 19 games over the best chance.
Yeah, that's a great point that no one wants to take it in Major League Baseball because Jeff Passan said the other day, this is the first time in 10 years that the best team is projected to win under 100 games. That's crazy. Yeah. That's the thing. I mean, we're complaining about the Yankees right now being a game, but there's only a game and a half out of first place and a game and a half out of the number 1 seed in the American League. So we're complaining, but the big thing is there really is no great. Now, I think the great team in baseball this year is the Dodgers. I think it's the Dodgers. I think they've obviously had injuries. That Betts was out, Muncy's out, but those guys are back now. To me, I think the Dodgers are clearly the best team, but record-wise, there really isn't a great team right now.
No, they're not. The Dodgers have been banged up, and the Padres are biting at their heels. They might not. Padres may come back and win that division soon. So there hasn't been. We thought Dodgers, O's are gonna be pretty good, and the O's are right there too, one of the best records. But there's been no runaway favorite this year. That was gonna win 105, 110 games, and it feels like it's up for grabs for anybody. But I know last week we talked about it. I have no faith in Yankees winning the World Series. I just don't. It just is gonna be this. It's the same story with them. So to me, it's like they take they just they. It was, especially when even at the trade deadline, you kind of knew there was no dominant, the teams weren't paid not to win 100 games. There's no dominant team out there. It's up for grabs, and they did, get Chisholm. They already DFA'd De Los Santos, the guy that got it for San Diego. They just did, they didn't go all in this, with the without getting Flaherty or Scott, and it's definitely come back to bite them because they do not have. They don't have the pitching. They just don't.
Yeah, the depth and rotation is an issue, but we'll get to the Yankees' biggest issue, and that's Clay Holmes. And on Sunday night, he blew his 10th save of the season. And the big question is are you confident in Clay Holmes being the closer? I'm not. But the problem is there's not another guy on this. I know there's a lot of good setup men and good seventh and eighth inning guys in this bullpen, but there's not a guy in this bullpen that can pitch the ninth inning. And that's my biggest reason why I don't think the Yankees are going to get to the World Series this year. It's because of that.
Yeah, it is. Because, again, like, let's say they do. Garrett Cole's probably going to have to, like, close out the games for you. Like Bumgarner did in 14 with the Giants. Like, you're going to need him. You're going to need him to close out these games. So, yeah, because, I don't trust Clay Holmes. And the interesting thing with Clay Holmes is, too, like, when he's facing lefties in the Yankees shift, it makes no sense because he's a sinker baller and the left-handed hitter, and he throws that sinker to lefties. It's a 98-mile-per-hour sinker. So the lefties are taking it the other way. So the Yankees are playing to shift, or shifting, playing that the lefties are going to pull them. But they're not pulling a 98-mile-per-hour sinker. They're just not. So the defensive alignment doesn't help for Clay Holmes. He gives up a ton of soft contact. Now, some of it's bad luck. Some of it, it happened. But, like, when a guy gets on, I'm at the point with him, it's like, man, it's over. Like, he's not holding on to save. Like, it's just, yeah, I don't trust him right now. Maybe you try Canley there. Maybe, that's maybe the only other guy I really would be okay putting in there right now. Or maybe an Ian Hamilton when he comes back. But, like, that's it. I know the ERA is still at 2.78, but 10 blown saves, you got to try something new here. I think 7 of the 10 blown saves, they end up losing. So you could have a much bigger lead. Now, they also have blown games too. So
because of Kimbrel. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Kimbrel,
but you still could, you take out those blown saves, you're probably still up a couple of games right now. So you got to try something new. And for the postseason, is it a lose heel? Or is it Garrett Cole that's going to close out games for you? Because I have no confidence, especially when a guy gets on base against Clay Holmes. I just don't.
Yeah, I agree. It's just, there really is, no confidence in him. But Aaron Boone said on Sunday, we still got confidence in being the closer. He could blow 10 saves, we still got confidence. That's the other issue. And I'm telling you, if this team, I'm going to say, if they don't get out of the division series, unless it's a really, really competitive 5-game series with the Orioles, unless it's that. If they don't get out of the division series, Aaron Boone has got to be fired. He has got to be fired because he's allowing this to happen with Clay Holmes.
Yeah, he is. And I do not. I think he's way too friendly. But the problem is the Yankees want that. That's the issue. Like, the Yankees don't want their manager pushing back. They don't want their manager criticizing guys. Again, I don't think any Yankee fan is asking for Billy Martin to, like when he ripped out Reggie Jackson center field for his lack of hustle. Like, we're not asking for that level, but, like, we're just at, like, some of the dumb errors that happen. It's like, can somebody be held accountable for all this? And they just don't. So, like, Boone's not great. I don't think he's a great, I don't think he's got any gut instinct. Like, I just don't. Maybe you find somebody else that's better at that, but, like, that's a problem. It's just like, I just think we're gonna get an Aaron Boone 2.0. It's just not gonna really change, and whoever they bring in too, he's got to agree with their numbers. So it's just frustrating. It's just like this cycle is just gonna keep going and going and going until until I don't know when. But he should, they'll probably do it because if they do lose in like an ALDS this year, they got to throw something in the fire to the fans. And they would throw Boone probably to the fans to give them something.
They absolutely do. They definitely have to move on from Boone if they don't make a deep playoff run this year. And for the last 2 games of the series, I know they got the pitching advantage, but because the Indians aren't throwing the Guardians aren't throwing 2 good pitchers. I know Cole's pitching in one of the games. I think they win the Cole start tomorrow and they lose tonight. I think they lose 2 out of 3. The way things have been going in the second half, I think they lose the series. I think the Guardians take 2 out of 3.
Yeah, I'm with you. Even though they got Quintello tonight, he's got a 6.23 ERA, he's going to go 6 shutout innings tonight, only allowed 3 hits with like 8 strikeouts, the Yankees are probably going to lose like 5-1. Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if he does. But we are going to move on to the Red Sox. Yeah, exactly. But we are going to move on to the Red Sox, and they finally beat the Astros last night 6-5. Beat the big home run by Jarren Duran. And again, you're not really concerned. The offense, you're just not. That's not the concern of this team. You're not really concerned about the offense. What you're concerned about and why they're 3.5 games out of the wild card still behind City is the depth of the rotation, and another thing is the bullpen. That loss, last Wednesday, a week ago to the Rangers, cannot happen for a playoff team. They had a 7-4 lead in the ninth inning. They gave up a home run to Wyatt Langford. That cannot happen for a playoff team. And then the loss on a Monday night. They had a 4-3 lead in the eighth. The bullpen is they really, again, this was another trade deadline. Outside of getting Lucas Sims, this team really didn't do that much at the trade deadline. They really didn't. They're another team that would have been nice for them to get like a Tanner Scott or a Jack Flair, get a guy, have a pitcher that would pitch behind, a Tanner Houck or a Cutter Crawford, or have another guy in the bullpen like a Tanner Scott. The two, they lost. If they win those 2 games, they're a game and a half behind the Royals. Now they're 3.5, and they got an uphill battle. Now the schedule softens up a little bit after this weekend against the Diamondbacks, but still, the Red Sox still have their work cut out for them, being 3.5 games out and having to face Verlander tonight.
They do. They really needed that one last night, Durant. Yeah, the lineup's going to be able to mash, to be able to
especially with Cassius back too.
Oh yeah, with him back too at first base, and because they had DFA Dominic Smith, and he actually hadn't been that bad. I know that was kind of their only really option, but he's been, he had actually really started to play better after a rough start. But yeah, with Cass back, he had a home run 2 last night, 3 RBIs. So they need that against the Astros today. They go up against Verlander, but yeah, they just didn't do enough. Liam Hendricks started a AA rehab stint yesterday. He got probably right around September you get him back, which will be nice. Guy that's pitching the back inning, back in of games, and Cameron Boozer I think is coming back too pretty soon. So there's a couple guys. Justin Slayton's kind of coming back soon too. I know those 2 aren't great, but there's a couple more reinforcements for them. But yeah, if they could somehow, if their bullpen could somehow be somewhat decent, not just directly, not blow three-run leads. This team should be able to get one of the wild cards. It was big too from last night because the Royals did lose. The Angels got the Reagans there in the 6th inning, but so you're still 3.5 back actually of the Royals, but you still had some ground to make up there. But yeah, like the lineup is so good that they're gonna put up runs. It's just, can this pitching staff do enough and just kind of hold up enough to not blow a lead 2 times a week, and this team should be able to make the playoffs. But yeah, they didn't do enough of getting pitchers there at the trade deadline.
No, they didn't. They definitely did not, and that's why they're in this. I know they won last night, but that's definitely why this team is in the spot they're in. And if you look at them going forward tonight, they're facing Justin Verlander. I think they lose tonight, and then this is a series against the Diamondbacks, and we brought it up. They've in this stretch against the Orioles and against the Astros, and the Diamondbacks, it'd be good for them to go 5-5. Like assume they lose tonight, it would put them at I think 4. It would put them at 3-4. If they could win, take 2 out of 3 against the Diamondbacks, they would be 5-5. And I think if they be 5-5, if they take 2 out of 3 this weekend, they would still be in it. But say they get swept or lose 2 out of 3, they'd be in more trouble because Kansas City's been playing pretty well recently. Minnesota hasn't played as well, but Kansas City's been playing pretty well. So I think the big thing for the Red Sox this weekend is I think they got to take 2 out of 3 against Arizona, and they got Cutter Crawford and Tanner Houck going, and they got Bello going against Gallen. But I don't think it's going to happen. I think the Diamondbacks are playing really well. I know they got swept in Tampa, but they picked it up in Miami this week. They're playing really well. They got a really good lineup, and I think Torey Lovello comes back to Fenway, and I think he takes 2 out of 3 over the Red Sox, because I think the Diamondbacks are one of the hottest teams, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see them make a deep playoff run again. But for the Red Sox, I think they lose 2 out of 3 to Arizona this week.
Yeah, I think they do too. Tough 2 matchups. You got Merrill Kelly and Zach Allen going Friday, Saturday. I think they are able to salvaging it Sunday, but you mentioned the rules, and the Red Sox should really take advantage, as you mentioned, after this D-back series. They got Toronto coming up. This is who Kansas City's got coming up the next couple of weeks. They got the Phillies coming in this weekend. Ooh. They go to Cleveland for 4, then Houston for another 4 down there. Cleveland comes in for a 3-game set. Minnesota at home, wow. And then and then play at the Yankees. That's like the next 2 to 3 weeks of the Royals.
And but that's why we said for the Red Sox, go 5-5 in this stretch, go 500 in this stretch, and I think there is a chance they can make the playoffs. So yeah, you looked at Kansas City's schedule. Yeah, the Red Sox could not embarrass themselves this weekend in Arizona, and they could win that series. They definitely, even though they're behind, they do definitely have a chance to make. They do have actually not even just a chance, a good chance to make the playoffs.
Yeah, they absolutely would. Yeah, they got Toronto coming up after. They got Detroit, the Mets, White Sox. They still got the White Sox up too. So yeah, and the team too. They're 300 at Fenway. They really haven't been great at Fenway the last couple of years. Maybe this is a weekend. You get a couple there. Yeah, like if you can kind of come out of this road trip, taking 2 out of 3, getting us win in Baltimore, you got to feel great. And then yeah, you could find a way to win the series in Arizona. Even if you mentioned 5-5, it'd be great for this team. So
even if they could win tonight against Verlander, that would be big.
Yeah, absolutely, it would be.
Or today against Verlander.
Yeah, today. Yeah. If they be a huge boost of kind of confidence as you go. You've got to face 2 pretty tough pitchers coming up in Gallen and Merrill the next couple of days after as well. So yeah, you can get today. You can play well against a good Arizona team that's just like last year, getting hot at the right time, and you're definitely feel good about yourself because the Royals, with that schedule coming off, they play 500. It's going to be even tough for Kansas City to do that. So they could really take advantage of Kansas City's tough schedule here. They with their schedule coming up, and they could kind of take 2 out of 3 from Arizona.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's why. This week's big. Yeah, with the Phillies. Oh, they're going to Kansas City, right?
Who? Oh, the Phillies. Yeah, they're going to Kansas City.
Oh, so yeah, with the Phillies coming into with the Phillies playing the Royals and the Red Sox playing the D-backs, yeah, this is a chance for the Red Sox. I mean, if they can take 2 out of 3 here, they'll be in good shape. I just don't think it's going to happen. I just don't think that their pitching is or bullpen is good enough, especially to win against the lineup like the Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks are playing really, really well, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens there. I mean, it's the Red Sox. I mean, before the season, I didn't think they'd be in it. But they've had not really, and it really hasn't been the guys they picked up. Is why they're in it. Just guys on this roster have just improved. You got Tanner Houck, he's improved. Carter Crawford's improved. Jaron Duran, he's improved. So you've had, and then some of the small moves, the Tyler O'Neills, the Connor Wong, he's improved. So guys on the roster have actually improved. I think that's the biggest reason why the Red Sox are in it, have a chance going into September.
Yeah, you mentioned that, and a couple of the rookies too, like Willie Abreu has been a nice piece. Cedar Rafael has been a nice piece this year as a rookie.
I forgot about Rafael. Rafael's been really good.
Yeah, even like Rob Refsnyder's had a pretty good year. Like he's batting .299. They really gotten better. Yoshida's playing really well too. He's .294. Like I was a signing. I remember there was like executives in Major League Baseball that kind of laughed at that contract, but he's been pretty good. It's a roster that, it's kind of, a lot of, you mentioned it, front office has done a really good job. X-Core's done a really nice job. And you can see this team really has improved in a lot of areas. And, that's good managing, good front office. Breslow, I know, probably could have done a little bit more, but this team's gotten better. And I think, a lot of guys this year that there were a lot of unknowns, I feel like, with the Abreu's, the Rafaelas, even David Hamilton, and all those guys kind of trying to figure out their major league players. And, a lot of them have shown that they are. And, it kind of seems like the young core the Red Sox got is pretty bright, and they could actually ever start spending again like they used to. Going to be pretty dangerous that division when, you got the O's with that team. We always know the Yankees are going to be somewhat competitive. And, Tampa, is going to be somewhat, around the mix as well. So, they can start spending with that young core. The future's pretty bright for the Red Sox.
I completely agree with that. So it'll be interesting to see what happens to the Red Sox. But Daniel Jones had a really, really rough outing on Saturday. But before we talk about that, we're going to hear from our friends at JPEG Financial and Shamrock Home Inspections.
Do you have a 401k and some savings for future retirement, but don't even know if it's enough to live off of? How much is enough? How often are you thinking about it? The team at JPEX Financial Group can help set your mind at ease. We specialize in creating strategies in the planning and managing of your financial, educational, and investment needs. We help clients pursue their investment goals with sound financial strategies. You deserve a personal, tailored plan. Lasting, meaningful, and open relationships are the foundation of our practice. You've worked hard for your money and should feel confident in your investment choices as you make decisions for your financial future. Your goals are our goals. We are dedicated to your needs and hopes for your future. Visit our website and give us a call at 860-430-5397. Securities offered through Raymond James Financial Services, Inc., member FINRA, SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through Raymond James Financial Services Advisors, Inc. JPEX Financial Group, LLC is not a registered broker-dealer and is independent of Raymond James Financial Services. JPEX Financial Group is located at 78 Eastern Boulevard, Glastonbury, Connecticut. There's no bigger investment than home ownership. And to make sure the house is up to your standards, you need a professional to look it over. Brian Flanagan from Shamrock Home Inspections is a licensed home inspector and a member of the Connecticut Association of Home Inspectors. Brian was a contractor for over 15 years, so he knows how homes should be constructed and how mechanicals should work.
What makes me a good home inspector was the 20 years that I was a home improvement person, doing all the different repairs that I have done and what other people have done wrong that I had to go out and fix. So I have a pretty quick eye on seeing what's right and what's wrong. Before you move, call Shamrock Home Inspections.
Before you make the biggest investment of your life, call Brian Flanagan from Shamrock Home Inspections at 860-268-2566 or visit shamrockhomeinspectionct.com.
All righty. Joe Shane said in Hard Knocks this year, a month ago, this year is about Daniel. This year is about Daniel. And they made it about Daniel this offseason, improving the offensive line, getting him Malik Neighbors. And I know they let Saquon Barkley walk, but he said, when you're paying a quarterback $40 million, not to hand the ball off to the $12 million back. It's to improve your offensive line and improve your receiving core, and that's what they did. But Saturday, Saturday, Jones took the field for the first time since he tore his ACL against the Raiders, and it was a really, really rough outing for Daniel Jones. Now, I don't think it was as rough as people are making it out to be. I think he did lead a scoring drive, and he looked pretty good. The beginning of the game was absolutely terrible, and should scare Giant fans. That first interception was awful. You got to throw that ball away. You got to throw that ball away. That interception to Petrie, and then he threw another pick. And then the next drive. So the big question is how much concern should we have for Daniel Jones? Now, I'm not saying that he shouldn't be the starter week one. I'm not saying that I'm not giving up on him completely. I'm not. But there should definitely be concern after that performance on Saturday. There's got to be concern. And there definitely has to be concern. I mean, so I'm not, here's the thing. I'm not willing to give up on him yet. I'm not, and I still think he should be the starter in week one, but there should definitely be concern because that was not a good performance on Saturday for Daniel Jones.
No, it wasn't. And I'm kind of concerned. And I think mostly because of decision making. Like that second intercept, you mentioned the first one, that second one too, like that's a ball you got to get rid of as well. Because his offensive line there gave him plenty of time to get to try to find somebody. Like that, like that's something that you maybe expect your rookie to do. But this is 6th, 7th year in the league, and that's a mistake he's made. And those two interceptions, those are mistakes he's making decision-wise. That's not great. Now, I hope this isn't the case, but I hope he's not trying to do too much where he knows that we're all this talk coming from the Hard Knocks, and now it's like, okay, we really know that they tried to get him out, where he's trying to do way too much and that he's trying to keep his job and trying to stay here. Like, you hope that's not the case. But, again, maybe some of it's rust, but again, the decision making, was what kind of concerns me. And again, this is the same guy that hasn't thrown 2 touchdown passes in games since 2019. Like, I just, it's not great. I'd be concerned.
Yeah, there's definitely concern. And yeah, the number one thing this offseason I didn't like about the Giants is they were talking about they were not 100% committed. They were not 100% committed to Daniel Jones. And that was my problem. I think if you're going into a season, you got to be 100% committed to the guy you have behind center. And to be honest, and there were 2 cases where that proved you in Hard Knocks. There are 3 cases they proved you in Hard Knocks that they were not. The first one, and I said this earlier, when they had that conversation at the Combine, Elliott Wolf and Joe Shane talked about trading up for Drake May. Number 2, when they had a pre-draft meeting with the Giants coaches. Daboll said, I trade up for Jaden Daniels. And number 3, on draft day, Joe Shane had a conversation with Elliott Wolf about trading up for Drake May. So the Giants proved to you they were not 100% committed to Daniel Jones going into the season. Now, they couldn't trade up for him, so they kind of figured we'll stick with him and get him a weapon. They did in Malik Neighbors. But yes, I think that could very easily hurt his confidence going into the season. I did not like that. And yeah, I mean, you got to be 100% committed to the quarterback. And if Daniel Jones has a bad year this year, he's gone. He's gone. If he doesn't stay healthy or has a bad year, he's definitely gone because there's no guaranteed money after this season.
Yeah, there's not. And, again, and I was surprised how open the Giants were about talking about it in that show because as far as I know, the Giants are allowed to control what goes on the air and what doesn't. And I was just surprised how much they let on the air about
there was
Jones
a lot
stuff.
of stuff. The Jones stuff,
yeah.
The Barkley stuff, there's a lot of stuff. You could, if you watch the Giants Hard Knocks and the Bears Hard Knocks, it's like night and day. It's like night and day. The Giants allowed a lot of stuff. The Bears are not letting a ton of stuff come out. The only thing the Bears have let get out is the little bit of the Judon stuff with him wanting to have a contract extension before they made or them wanting to give Judon a contract extension before they traded for him. But yeah, the Giants, I think they let out too much about Daniel Jones, which is stuff Daniel Jones sees. He sees all that stuff in Hard Knocks. Yeah,
he does, and this is a guy too that I know the Giants drafted 6th overall, but he was never he was more of a maybe late first round, second rounder. He was never supposed to be the 6th overall pick, which made even expectations even higher for him because he was that pick. He's always had a ton of pressure on him, a ton of people kind of doubting him. And I get it. And I just, and especially you're playing a media market like New York, there's going to be a lot of scrutiny. And I think too, because of all that too, I think, it hasn't, I know a couple years ago, he played well. They got the playoffs, they won it, but I just feel too, there's just been so much, kind of down on him, and I just think it's just confidence wise, he's trying to do too much, and I think the Giants didn't do any favors by drafting there because everybody kind of laughed at the pick, what do we do, because it's Eli's former head coach, it was a bunch of people were making the pick out it's literally Eli comparisons, because it was his former coach, and all. And all that. And so I just, it was, so I just, you kind of hope for him. He has a good year and he could kind of improve, but it's just decisions, man, that you're 6-7 years in the league now. You can't be making those type of mistakes.
Nope. And you thought Daboll kind of coached the mistakes out of him, in 2022, but last year and the big start of this year, those mistakes have came back and they just can't come back. It just can't happen. He has got to play well. They got to win more games than they lose, because they're going to have a pretty good defense. The front seven, I think, is really good. They're going to have a pretty good defense. So this team has got to win more games than they lose for Daniel Jones, for my opinion, for Daniel Jones to be there. And the way it started, it looks like the Giants will be looking to draft a quarterback next year.
Yeah, that it is very possible. That there will be. There's, can't see Shooter Sanders as a Giant. Then that would be.
Oh, that'd be crazy.
I don't know if I can see it.
I don't know if I can see that happening.
Yeah, Carson Beck's maybe, I know we'll get my Patriots. I'm kind of hoping maybe, you get a King Ransom there for the #1 overall pick next year for somebody who wants to trade up for a quarterback. But yeah, it really seems like the Giants are going to be out there looking for one. I just, it's, you hope he can prove he's got the weapons. You hope, maybe as the season goes on, the mistakes get out. But yeah, I'm not too confident in Daniel Jones right now. So, it's unfortunate. Again, it felt like 2 years ago he did make the step forward, and but yeah, it kind of seems like he's regressing, son.
Yes. The bottom line is he has to play well this year, or his days as Giants quarterback will be over. But now we'll get to your Patriots and Drake May. He had a nice preseason. I know it was against the Eagles backups, but he had a nice preseason performance against the Eagles. The big question is should Drake May be the week 1 starter? Because you saw Jacoby Brissett. He did not play well at all in the preseason game against the Eagles. I'm still at the point I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no because, again, this is not a team that's going anywhere this year at all. This is a team that's going to be a 4 or 5 win team at best. So I would say no. I think you start Brissett at the beginning of the year. I think he maybe plays the first 3-4 games, the first maybe 4 or 5 games of the year, and then you go to Drake May. I'm going to say no. I don't think he should be the week 1 starter. I'd sit him, 3 or 4. You don't want to completely lose his confidence. You don't want him to be, the reason in the locker room why the team is struggling early on. You want you team struggle first with Brissett and then move on to Drake May. The Patriots will probably be a team, this year. It'll probably be a team for most of the year that's a bad team that's breaking in a young quarterback. So I would say no. I would not start Brissett. Oh no, I would not start May week 1.
No, I wouldn't either. Not yet. Now, it sounds like too most of the practices as well. He's going with the second teamer, so he hasn't really even practiced much with the first team offense. So that's something too that hopefully at some point he starts to do that, a little bit more. But I think Brissett starts. I'd probably say like week 5 because more than likely they're 0-4 at that point. You come home, you face Miami, Houston. There's 2 weeks where you could fill that stadium up because at some point that place is going to be just nobody's going to be showing up for games. So, because I don't want him to start against the 49ers. I do not want that to be his first start.
No. That cannot be his first start. That cannot be. They cannot start. You cannot have his first start against the 49ers.
Yeah, because they would, like in hindsight, because it's a mini bye because you play the week before against the Jets Thursday night and you would do it then. But like because you're playing the 49ers, I think that would be the worst case scenario. He'll probably get in at that point because they're getting killed and they'll just storm in there in the fourth quarter. Hopefully the Niners got their second team in. But I would think it's like week 5, week 6 is when Drake May finally gets in there. It was an encouraging start and he looked good. Brissett did not, but yeah, I was very encouraged with the start that Drake May had, but yeah, I think week 5, week 6, I think is when they probably throw him in there.
And I agree with you. My prediction is going to be week 5 against the Dolphins. Now I might get in, maybe fourth quarter against the Niners when they're getting crushed, when they're like 1-3 or 0-4 and they're getting crushed to the Niners. But my prediction is week 5. Remember this week 5 against Miami. I think he starts that game. Tom Brady in the house. They got Tom Brady in the house.
Oh, yeah.
He and the color guy against the Dolphins. They've already announced that. So I'm going week 5. I'm going week 5 against the Dolphins. That's my prediction. And all this talk about him sitting the whole season is total nonsense. I will guarantee you one thing. There is no way he takes a redshirt year. The only time that happens now in the NFL is if you have a good quarterback behind a young quarterback. I mean, there's a good chance it'll happen to Michael Penix this year. The only time I can remember that happening is Jordan Love and Patrick Mahomes. And Patrick Mahomes played that meaningless last game, but it was Jordan Love and Patrick Mahomes. Brissett is not good enough for the team to keep losing and for the team to keep trotting him out there. There is no way Drake May is taking a redshirt year. My prediction is he's on the field. He's starting in week 5 against the Dolphins.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. Week 5 with Miami. Yeah, he shouldn't take a redshirt year. I know I've said in the past, it's mostly because the offensive line. I just don't want Drake May to get killed. It's more of me, like I understand you can't give him the redshirt year, but it's also me saying I don't want the Mac Jones experience all over again.
Yeah, but there's no way. There's no way you're trotting Jacoby Brissett out there week after week after week when you're like 2-10. You're not doing that. Yeah. You want to give Drake May reps, so in the next year he has experience where when you get players around him and you get guys around him, you're going to have a lot of cap space. You're going to be able to. He's going to be able to be ready and have success. So I think he definitely needs to get reps this year. There's no way you can keep trotting Jacoby Brissett, especially if you're out of it really, really early in the year.
Yeah, absolutely. And they could be because if they don't win week 2 against Seattle, I don't know when they're winning their first game.
They'll probably start 0-4. They'll probably start 0-4.
Yeah, they probably will. I don't think they're beating Miami at home. They're not beating Houston at home. Maybe like not till the Titans in week 9 or whatever it is. Like they might not win to the November.
Exactly.
So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they're going to need a reason to fill those seats at Gillette at some point. So yeah, I think week 5, week 6, is probably the likely landing spot for him. But yeah, he's got to get some reps. I hope he's against the first team at some point. He plays with those guys. So yeah, we'll see. I'm, a little bit more confident, but again, when you have a Darius Lowe playing, at the tackle spot, and it's a little scary, but he's gonna worry about him getting killed out there. But other than that, hopefully the line does somewhat okay for him, and but yeah, I think week 5, week 6, hopefully he goes in there and doesn't lose all confidence in, too quickly.
Yeah, we'll see there. I got week 5. You got week 5 or 6. But we'll see when the Pats make that move. But sticking with the Pats, last week they traded probably their best player on their team, Mac Judon. And the question is, did the Pats make the right move trading Judon? And I know he's 32, but you could have given him like a 3-year, $90 million, maybe $45 to $50 million guaranteed. You could have given him a contract. You could have extended him. If you're going to extend 2 safeties, you're going to sign, an average receiver, an average tight end, you're going to extend an average running back, and you can't pay your best player. Listen, the jury's still out on Elliott Wolf, but I do not agree with this move by Elliott Wolf. I don't. I would have extended Judon because I think he's your piece. Drake May's your piece on offense. Judon's your piece still, even at his age, your piece on defense to get this thing turned around.
So at first, I was kind of disappointed, and I love Judon. He's been such a huge presence for us, and especially defensively, again, the quarterback. But to get a 3rd-round pick for a guy that's 32, coming off a torn bicep, I'll take it. His team needs all the assets they could get. Yes, he's our best player, and I would love to have him. But, this defense, or this team's not going to be good even when we have him. I don't understand why they did not want to give him more money. I don't. They gave everybody else from a 4-win team last year money. Why not him? I don't know why. Because he was the best signing of that Bill spending off season, a couple years ago.
Yeah, when they went on that spending spree, he was their best guy.
Yeah. So it's a little disappointed, but to get a 3rd rounder out of him from an Atlanta team that's going to be in the playoffs, it's going to probably be like a late, middle late 3rd round pick. I'll take it, and I'll be okay with it. He's in Atlanta. We're not playing him this year, so I'm actually okay with it. That means White's got to step up, even though the problem is he's more of a run stuffer than I think he is a pass rusher. So, and Josh Uche really, a couple years ago, he had double-digit sacks, and I think a huge part of that was due to Judon and kind of a lot of more planning around him than Josh Uche. And Uche last year only had 3 sacks, so hopefully Uche can get back there and get up to 8, 9 sacks again and really make a difference offensively. But they need somebody like that to step up for him. But I'm okay with getting a 3rd rounder for a Matthew Judon. I'm okay with it because, again, maybe he gets his one extra win. I'm kind of at the point. Maybe it's a bad fan of me, but I want to do what the Bears did 2 years ago. Get the 1st pick. Hope somebody's desperate enough to trade us a number 1 overall pick. We trade back to 4th or 5th. We get Will Campbell to tackle at LSU. That's kind of where I'm at right now.
Yeah, that's a good point. But I think for the Pats, they should have gotten more for. They should have gotten at least a 2nd rounder for him. And I just thought he was the cornerstone piece. I think he was the cornerstone piece of turning around. But Elliott Wolf disagrees with me. He thinks they need to get more value and they need to get more picks to rebuild. But we'll see how that ends up turning out. But we got to get to NFL news this week, and we'll start with the biggest story. And it is a former Patriot assistant coach who got ripped by his former quarterback Tua, saying that he's a terrible person, and Tua saying that he told him every day that he sucked, and he wasn't any good. Here's my take on this. And I'll talk about Flores. I think Flores didn't do a terrible job in Miami. I thought he was decent, but the problem is this is the problem in the NFL. This is the thing about the NFL now. You have to have a good relationship with your quarterback. And he didn't, and that's why he's out of a job. And this does not make Flores look good. This does not make him look good. When you get a guy like Tua, who is a nice guy, who really doesn't call a lot of people out, to call him out like this is not a good look by Flores. I felt Flores, I thought he made himself look better yesterday by sounding remorseful in his press conference. But this is not a good look for Brian Flores. And even worse, this may not even be a good look for Bill Belichick going forward, because you look at all these Belichick guys that, Flores, McDaniel, Patricia, Judge, all did not work out. I mean, some worked out better than O'Brien. I mean, there's the O'Briens and Flores that have worked out better than McDaniels, Patricia and Judge. But this, my way or the highway style in today's NFL, I feel like it doesn't work. That's why Bill Belichick got 1 coaching job. That's really my big takeaway from this. Is just the Belichick tree just has trouble connect. They're not collaborative. Now, Bill could get away with it because he won, but the rest of the guys couldn't, and that's why they're all out of jobs.
Yeah, the Tua thing stuff, the comments too. It's interesting too because Tua played for Saban too, which he's not a, I don't think Saban's calling me.
Here's the deal. I know, like Belichick, Like Belichick, he won, and I think he respected Saban because Saban had his best interests at heart. Where I don't think Brian Flores, when he was the head coach of the Dolphins, had the best interests at heart. He wanted Justin Herbert, and he wanted to trade for Deshaun Watson. He was not all in onto it. We talked about this with the Giants. You got to be 100% committed to your quarterback, front office, and head coach. And when Flores was there, he was 100% committed to Tua. There were times in his rookie year when he went to Tua, he took him out, 3 or 4 games later and put Fitzpatrick in. When Flores was there, it was going back and forth between Tua and Fitzpatrick his rookie year. And when you make that move, you should never go back. And Flores did go back, and that was his ultimate mistake, is his relationship with the quarterback. So, yeah, I think I know Tua played for Saban, but he knew Saban had his best interests at heart, and Flores didn't.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Saban definitely has earned a little bit more respect in coaching world than Brian Flores has. But definitely probably did play a part of it. But I did forget too, like he did pull 2 out of game. I forgot about that part, that Fitzpatrick was coming in some games, and he was doing all that, which it doesn't help. And and you mentioned too the relationship part, the NFL at the quarterback spot. Yeah, like you're paying these. I know Tua just got paid, but like you're investing so much in these quarterbacks now that you want them to be happy and you want them to be, you want them to sign there, you want to be there. So I get it from that perspective. But yeah, it's I don't, it does not sound great for Flores. Like you suck. I know he said all that. I don't know. Part of me, it's definitely got to be tough to do your job. You're Tua there. But it's, and again, that's probably why they wanted a Mike McDaniel. That's going to be more of a.
That's why they made the change. That's why they made the change.
Yeah.
They had a Mike McDaniel, an offensive mind that was going to give Tua confidence, and it's worked the last 2 years.
Yeah, and it has been, and it seems like his confidence has been up, and hopefully he's a guy that's going to be able to stay on the field. But it's not great for Flores. He was somebody the Patriots didn't take Mayo. Like if they actually did a search, I kind of wanted him or Mike Vrabel to be the next head coach. But that thought he did. He's done a pretty good job. As a D coordinator, I thought down in Miami before the comments of this. But yeah, it's not a great look for Flores, and maybe this is the reason why Flores hasn't got another shot as head coach, because maybe this is something known around the league that this happens.
Absolutely. This was known around the league. This had been known around. I was wondering why Flores wasn't getting other jobs when he went 10-6 and 9-8 in 2 seasons, then got fired. But this is the reason why. He did not get along with his quarterback, and that's an issue. If you don't have success, that's an issue in today's NFL. You have to have a relationship with your quarterback, especially when the organization is spending a top 5 pick on him. And you were the head coach while the organization picked him 5th overall. So at the end of the day, I feel like this falls on. This doesn't look good for Flores because he does not have. He's not built a relationship with his quarterback. He tried to smooth things over yesterday, but I think this is definitely going to be hard for Flores to get another head coach. He didn't do a bad job in Miami, but I think it's going to be hard for him to get another head coaching job because of Tua's comments. But we got to continue to talk about quarterbacks. We talked about the Steelers quarterback battle between Fields and Wilson. Really, no one's taken the bull by the horns. Like Antonio Pierce said, and we'll get to him. No one's taking the bull by the horns. But I think that I think right now I would just have Wilson be the starter, even though 5 possessions, no points, and then Fields 5 possessions, 3 points. It's not good either way for the Steelers, but I would just go with Russell Wilson.
Yeah, I think Russell's going to get it. The offensive line has not been great either, which hasn't helped out. So yeah, I thought Justin Fields could win it if he did something special in preseason, but we haven't seen it. So I think for now you go Russell Wilson, and they make change halfway through the year for Fields. Great. If not, we'll see what they can do with Wilson. Maybe at some point they get at you. Maybe not. Who knows? They can get another weapon in there.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. And then with the Raiders, Gardner Minshew named the starting quarterback. The big question here is, are the Raiders a playoff team with Minshew? I don't think they are. I know they went 9-8 with the Colts, but he had an offensive minded head coach in Shane Steichen. He comes here. There's Luke Getsy. There's Antonio Pierce. Like Antonio Pierce, the leader of men, but he didn't play offense. He played defense. He was a middle linebacker. And the other thing is in Minshew's 3 worst games last year with the Colts against the Jaguars, against the Falcons, and against the Bengals. In those games, he threw 2 touchdowns and 5 picks. The team couldn't run the ball. Minshew needs to rely on a running game to have success. The Raiders, they don't. Josh Jacobs, he's not there anymore. So I won't tell you because we're doing our predictions next week. I won't tell you what I think the Raiders are going to do, but I will tell you right now, I don't think they're a playoff team with Minshew as their starter.
Yeah, they got some offensive talent there. Yeah, the running game, can they get that going? They, did a little bit there to upgrade the offensive line. That defensive front is going to be nasty. The secondary going to be good enough too defensively. Can they hold up enough in the back end? Will be interesting, but they got talent. Like, would I be shocked they finished second place in the AFC West? No. But yeah, I think it's a team that's probably going to miss out playoff by like a game or two. But yeah, Minshew, O'Connell, it's another one that none of those two took the job. None of those two took control of that job. And again, they paid Minshew, and O'Connell's already 25, so it's not like even throwing him in there as the young guy, you see if he can learn. But he's already 25. He's really not that young in terms of kind of being a NFL quarterback. So, they paid Minshew, figured, they'll see what they can give him.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. Now we'll give our 5 takeaways from the preseason. And number 5 for me, Drake May. We talked about it. I think it gives Patriot fans hope. I think Drake May gives Patriot fans hope. Number 4, Bo Nix. Bo Nix, we haven't talked about him in the show yet. Bo Nix, he's been really good in these 2 preseason games. He's got to be named the starter. He's 23. He's old enough. I feel like he's mature enough. He's 2 years older than Drake May. So, and Caleb Williams and Jane Daniels. So he's old enough. He's mature enough to be the starter. It looks like him and Sean Payton. You've heard a lot of Drew Brees comps, and we saw how that worked out with Sean Payton. Yes, the Broncos will take their licks this year. I don't think they're going to be good, but Drake May is. I think Bo Nix has got to be named the starting quarterback for the Broncos. Number 3, Caleb Williams. He continues to impress. He wasn't as good as his first outing against the Bills, but he continues to impress. Had that touchdown run, so Caleb Williams continuing to impress. There might be a little bit of a surprise in teams I'm picking to make the playoffs next week, but Caleb Williams, he's definitely been good. Number 2, we talked about it. Steelers quarterback situation is a mess, and I don't think either quarterback, as Antonio Pierce said earlier, with Minshew and Aiden O'Connell take the bull by the horns. I don't think either guy has really separated themselves in that race. 3 points is not good, especially when you have a quarterback controversy and you're trying to compete for something. I think the Steelers quarterback situation is a mess right now. Number 1, got to go with Daniel Jones. A lot of concern. We talked about it with his performance, just a lot of concern, and just not the performance Giants fans wanted to see on Saturday. Justin, your 5 takeaways from week 2 of the preseason.
Number 5, I got Mac Jones. Looked pretty good when he does that.
You're bringing up Mac Jones. You're bringing up Mac Jones. Wow. Yeah, I know he played well. I know, but I know he played well. I'll give him that.
He didn't have the 32nd offensive line or 32nd overall wide receiver core. Looked pretty good. Good for him. Hope he got to start a game or 2. He looked good. Number 4 for me was the Steelers offensive line. I thought they improved it a little bit more this offseason. I thought they had a couple of good draft picks for it, but man, they still can't block. They really still struggled out there. That game against the Bills was very, very ugly, and very, very concerned about their offensive line going into the year right now. A little bit, pretty problematic there. Number 3 for me was the Daniel Jones concern. That definitely looks like it's the decision making does not look good right now. Number 2, this one might be a little bit too high, but Xavier Worthy showing off his big play ability with the Chiefs.
Good one. Yep.
The wide receiver they need to step up, or they need a wide receiver to step up here. Rice, does he maybe get a suspension for the offseason stuff? We'll see. But they need another weapon, and he really showed it to me. Number 1, I had all the number 1 round quarterbacks again. Drake May looked better. Caleb Williams had a couple of really good highlight plays. Jaden Daniels, he got the job of Washington. He looked pretty good again. Bo Nix is, he's a guy that's played a ton of football. So it's helped them. And he looked pretty good back there. The Michael Penix decision of, I don't know why the Falcons already shutting down for, he's had enough reps, but Mahomes is out there. That's the Falcons.
I don't get what the Falcons have been doing. Well, I know they got Judon, but I don't get what the Falcons have been doing all offseason. You're going to draft Michael Penix. Shouldn't you play him? Shouldn't you see what he is? If you're going to take this guy as your number 1, your first round pick?
They said he had enough reps though. He's already had enough reps.
Come on. You got a quarterback coming off a torn Achilles. You got a quarterback coming off a torn Achilles. You're not going to give your backup preseason reps. Come on now.
Yeah, I don't get that decision, and but a guy like Patrick Mahomes could Mahomes still playing in the preseason now, but who knows? That's Atlanta for you. But they're kind of mind the first round pick so far at quarterback spot that have played have looked pretty good.
They definitely have. But we will wrap up the show talking about some college football. And college football starts this week. We got number 10 Florida State against Georgia Tech in Ireland. So an interesting matchup there. And for this game, we'll quickly talk about it. Florida State's lost a lot. Georgia Tech has some guys coming back. I think that Georgia Tech, Haynes King, he's back. Georgia Tech's got some guys coming back. I think there's a good chance they cover in this game, but I do think Florida State with DJ eventually wins it. They're the more talented team. I got them winning at 28-17 over Georgia Tech. Justin, you think Georgia Tech could cover here? DJ had a better year at Oregon State last year, but he has struggled at times in his college career. Do you think that Georgia Tech can cover against Florida State?
I think they can. Brent Key, I thought last year did a pretty good job with the staff. Now they got the bowl game because in one of them games, they got lucky that Mario Cristobal, doesn't think of me.
Yeah.
At the end, so like they could have 5 wins. Maybe you're talking a little bit differently. Their defense was not great. I still don't think it's going to be that. Maybe a little bit more improved. They brought in the Duke defense coordinator that did a really nice job. Duke was the best team in the AC last year in scoring defense. There was like 19 points a game. So Haynes King's good, he can be good. He threw 16 interceptions. Like with him, he's kind of no fear of making that interception or throwing that interception. He's got to be better. He could stay away from the turnovers. DJ, I'm not too high on. It's definitely downgrade from Jordan Travis. They lost a ton of weapons. So, this thing opened 14 points. It's down to 10.5. So everybody's kind of on Georgia Tech here. I do think this game's close. I just think in the trenches, Florida State's going to be the better team than Georgia Tech. And I think Florida State kind of gets the backdoor cover here. I think they win 31-17. But I do think Georgia Tech could keep this game competitive.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Georgia Tech keeps this game competitive. So now with the college football season starting, week 0 is this week. We're going to give our we're going to wrap up giving our playoff predictions for the season. And I'm going to start with mine. And the number 1 seed, my number 1 seed is Georgia. They're my number 1 seed. Carson Beck returning. I think we got Kirby Smart. They've won 2 of the last 3 national titles. They are my number 1 seed, winning the SEC. My number 2 seed is Ohio State. As they got one of the best defense in the country. They upgraded the quarterback position. I know they lost Marvin Harrison, but this is a really, really talented team. Now, a lot of pressure on Ryan Day to beat Michigan. He's lost them 3 years in a row. He has got to beat Michigan this year. He's got to beat. Imagine if he loses to Michigan, and if they lose to Oregon, they somehow don't make the playoff. He has got to beat Michigan this year. A lot of pressure on Ryan. It probably has more pressure on Ryan Day than any head coach in college football. So Ryan Day's got to get it done this year, but they are my number 2 seed. I think they win the Big Ten. They're my number 2 seed. Number 3, going with Utah. Going with Utah to win the Big 12. They're clearly the best team. They got Cam Rising returning from an injury, but he's returning. So I got Utah as my number 3. Number 4 was tough. It was tough between Florida State and Clemson. But I think with everything that Florida State lost, I'm going to put – now, I think Clemson gets bounced round 1. They get in the quarterfinals. I think they get bounced. But I do think they win the ACC. So I got them as my number 4 seed winning the ACC. Now, the other teams I got, the at-larges, and I know there's another conference champ. We'll get to them. But the at-larges from the Power 5 conferences, my number 5 seed is Oregon, Dylan Gabriel. They host Ohio State, which is good for them. So I got Oregon as my number 5 seed. I think they get to the Big Ten championship game against Ohio State and lose. So Oregon's my number 5 seed. Number 6, I'm going Alabama. Still. Jalen Milroy coming back, and I know Saban's gone, but they didn't hire a guy who doesn't know how to coach. Kalen DeBoer led Washington to the national title last year, so I got Alabama as my number 6 seed. Number 7, I'm going Texas with Quinn Ewers back. I don't know if they'll be as good as people think because I think they lose that game actually. That second week of the season to Michigan because of the losses they had. They lost one of their top running backs, Baxter, a couple of weeks ago, so they've had some injuries. But they do have Quinn Ewers coming back, so I have them as my number 7 seed. Number 8, I'm going Ole Miss. I know they lost Junkins, but they have Jackson Dart back. I think they're a team that gets in. Number 9, Notre Dame. Very favorable schedule. I think they'll be like a 1-2-1-loss team, but I think very favorable schedule. That's why I think they're one of the at-larges. Number 10, Michigan. I think the big difference is I think they win that game at Texas. I think they lose at home to Oregon and at Ohio State, but I do think They beat Texas early in the season. That's why I got them going. I think they're like a 10-2 team that gets into the playoff. At number 11, I'm going with my Nittany Lions. I think the schedule's favorable. James Franklin loves to go 10-2, and I think he goes 10-2 again. But this time, he finally, because of the expansion, gets into the postseason. And then number 12, I'm going Boise State because that seems like the hot pick of the group of 5 teams. Justin, we've been waiting for this all show. What are your 12 teams?
Yeah, my 12 got a lot of the similar ones. But number 1 for me, I got Georgia as well. Carson Beck could be the Heisman frontrunner this year going in. Ton of guys too that could even be back like next year. But I don't think they're going to feed. I think somebody gets them at some point. But again, great roster. Kirby Smart's done a really nice job, and again, he doesn't have to worry about Nick Saban this year being in the SEC championship game, which does help out him. Number 2 is Ohio State. Yeah. It's rumored that it's been reported the Saints spent about $20 million $20 million on this team, which that will happen when you're a rival.
Wins the national title. That's, as I said, so much pressure on Ryan Day this year.
Yep. Oh yeah, there's a ton, and I don't think there's ever been so much pressure on a guy that's 56-8 in his career, but there is. Yeah. They're going to the power running game. He's given up the first time play calling duties to his former mentor up in New Hampshire, Chip Kelly. He brings it OC.
Left UCLA to go be the OC. That's a crazy move.
Yeah. Well, UCLA. Chip doesn't like the recruiting stuff. He doesn't like having to go fundraise for money. So Chip Kelly just wants to call plays. So that's what he does now at Ohio State. Number 3, I got the Utah Utes as well. Ton of returning starters coming off the team. With a ton of injuries last year. Cam Rising. Big 12, I think, they should be able to take care of business in year 1 in that conference. Number 4, surprising one. I got the Hokies.
Virginia Tech. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
21 starters coming back. Kyron Drones, I think they get the 4 seed. He puts up some numbers. I think he could be a dark horse for the Heisman. Brent Pry's done a really nice job there. They got a favorable schedule this year. I'm very high in the Hokies. It's mostly 2. Florida State, could be there. I'm done with Dabo and Clemson. I'm done. I'm fed up. They're not.
I get it. But for me, they were just the best of the worst.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, on paper they're good. And then Miami crystal ball. They'll find a way to blow it. Number 5 for me. So my at-larges, I got number 5 Oregon. Yeah, I think they'll get Ohio State at home. They'll beat them. But in the rubber match or in the Big Ten championship game, I think or Ohio State will knock them off. Number 6, I got Bama as well. I think Jalen Milroe could fit really, really good in this Kellen DeBoer, in this offense. And yeah, you mentioned it. Kellen DeBoer, the guy could coach. He's a winner wherever he goes. I think Bama is going to be okay. They'll be the 6th seed this year. Number 7, I'm higher than Nittany Lions than you are. I got them 7 this year.
Wow. They could go, looking at the schedule, they could go 11-1, which is crazy. I don't think they make the championship game, but they can go 11-1.
They could be, yeah. Ohio State, home, going to be a tough one. But, again, I think if they do get the second one, I think it either comes at USC or Wisconsin. Both, I know you got to buy in between, but I think that's where their second loss would come, probably somewhere around there. But Drew Allen, let's see if he can make the next step. Again, big games last year. He was not great, but again, he was still young. Let's see if I like Colton Nick coming from Kansas. I do think that's an good hire, but I think that's a 6 OC he's had at Penn State. Like at some point, you got to figure out the offensive coordinator situation. Hopefully, this is the guy. Number 8, I got Notre Dame. You mentioned it's a very favorable schedule. If Notre Dame could win their first big road game in I don't know how long. Could be a chance maybe they run the table and go undefeated. But I think they go 11-1, 10-2, somewhere right around there. Number 9, I got Ole Miss. I'm not me. I think Lane's pretty good. I don't like him in a big game because I just think it's too emotional and the play calling and all that and the pregame talk. I think it's a little bit too overexcited in those games, but I think it's pretty good. I think Jackson Dart could win the Heisman. They got a pretty favorable schedule. You got Georgia home to be tough. You got to go to Death Valley, LSU, Oklahoma comes to your house. I think they should be good. I think they've upgraded on both lines of scrimmage. Number 10, I do have Florida State. I think their schedule's favorable. I think Virginia Tech knocks them off in the think they upset them in the ACC championship game, but I think, they could lose at Notre Dame. They got they got Miami on the road, which I think they could beat Miami on the road. Wouldn't be surprised there. Number 11, I got Michigan as well. I do think, with their schedule, I still think Michigan up front defensively. I don't know how many teams could still block them. I think their defensive line is still going to be one of the best in college football. And I would not be shocked if they knock off Texas week 2. I think they do knock off Texas week 2. That's why I don't have Michigan in, or that's why I don't have Texas in here.
That's a surprise. You don't have Texas in. Florida State, not Texas, right?
Yeah. I think
two ACC teams.
I do. Yeah. I think Texas could be in for a little bit of a rude awakening. They won so many close games last year. And again, right after you play Oklahoma, which is, it's going to be a 1-score game. It's going to go down the wire. You have Georgia come to your place. Like, you could lose back-to-back right there. And then my last one, it is a team for Texas. It's a Texas State Bobcats of the Sun Belt. I love their head coach, DJ Kinney. He's, one of the young guys in the game, one of the brightest offensive minds. TJ Finley had an awesome year for him. They upgraded to bringing in Jordan McLeod, the James Madison transfer, who won Sun Belt Player of the Year last year. They're a little Jekyll and Hyde at times last year, but I think they're non-con schedule. You get UTSA, San Antonio coming up week 2 at home. You got Arizona State at home on a Thursday night. I think they beat Arizona State. I love this Texas State team. And I think their Sun Belt schedule is pretty favorable. They got, I think it's 20 out of 22 starters are either junior or seniors. It's a really veteran-led group. GJ Kenny, when he gets a big-time job, he's going to do an outstanding job there. Very, very offensive mind. Did a heck of a job at Incarnate Word FCS program. Building them up. So doesn't say anything at Texas State. Very, I got the podcast sneaking in.
All right, so we'll see what happens. We got the college football season starting on Saturday. Really excited for that. But that's going to wrap it up this week on Sports Talk with R&J. For Justin Offrio, I'm Steve Risser. Next week, I'm telling you guys right now, is our annual NFL season preview. So next week we'll have our NFL season preview. Then this will be the first week we go to 2 shows too, as we'll have our NFL season preview, and in the second show we'll be previewing the first week of college football, and we'll be talking Yankees and Red Sox. So I'm giving it to you right now. So NFL preview next week, and then the second show Yankees and Red Sox in the first week of college football. So make sure you tune in for that, and have a great weekend, everyone.
Jones on first. Jones on first down. Wide open, it's Barkley. And Saquon Barkley will take it into the end zone.
Your best ability is availability. Saquon Barkley, he's great when he's on the field, but the problem is since 2018, he hasn't been healthy for this team.
Look at this. They lob it to him. He taps it in off the glass. How about that?
Porter Moser, I think right now is the best coach of college basketball, hands down.
Fins 2 for 3. He's done his part. Pitch is drilled to deep right field toward the pole, and it is gone.
They don't mind not being what they were in the 90s as the best organization in baseball, because the Yankees aren't even close to the best organization in baseball.
You're trying to be the Rays, and the Rays do this for a reason. Like, you're the Yankees.
Hello, my name is Joe Aguirre. I'm the president of Clovercrest Media Group. And here at CMG, we have a wide variety of podcasts, including sports shows like Keys to the City, The Roll Call, Throwing Jabs, All Four Downs, and Jawing About the G-Men. And great true crime shows like Stinky Week, Crimes and Consequences, Ivy League Murders, and Bird, the unsolved murder of David Eichmann. You can find all these podcasts and so much more by visiting clovercrestmedia.com.